The Galactic Assembly had seen many things, but none of them were ready for what humanity chose to unveil that day. For centuries, the Assembly's star nations believed that humans were a curious but harmless race. They had risen from a small, isolated planet on the edge of mapped space, traded politely and never interfered with major affairs. They spoke little, observed much, and smiled often. To most galactic powers, humans were mysterious but unthreatening. That illusion shattered when the message came. The message was simple. It bore no threats, no declarations, just a line transmitted across every known relay. To all civilizations present within the galactic map, the Terran Confederation invites you to witness the unveiling of our legacy fleet. No one understood what that meant. The great empires sent observers, diplomats, and scouts. The Council of Elders from the Trevain Corps thought it was arrogance. The crystalline fleets of the Valari thought it was theater. The Doth Collective called it human vanity. Yet every envoy traveled toward Sol. The humans had asked them to witness, and curiosity burned brighter than caution. The Assembly delegation arrived in orbit above Earth and found the system locked down. Hundreds of Terran defense platforms ringed the planet. Their hulls shimmered in black alloy that swallowed light. The visitors saw energy readings beyond their scanner's range. The lead envoy, a being of light from the Orthon Dominion, asked the human representative aboard the orbital station, "Are you preparing for war?" The human, a calm officer named Daniel, answered with a slight smile. "No, we're preparing to remember." The delegates were confused but said nothing more. When the day arrived, every ship in orbit turned toward the dark side of Luna. Human transports formed ranks, each carrying high-ranking officers, historians, and mechanical crews. Silence filled the void. Then, a signal pulsed through the darkness. The moon itself began to shift. What had looked like natural craters retracted like ancient doors. Plates of dust-covered metal folded inward. The delegates gasped as the surface of the moon split apart to reveal what lay beneath. It was not hollow. It was a hangar so vast that it could hold continents. One by one, immense silhouettes emerged. They were ships, but not like any the Assembly had ever seen. Their hulls were carved with inscriptions that no translation system could decode. Their frames radiated power, not mechanical but almost biological in pattern. The vessels looked older than the moon that had hidden them. The first ship drifted forward, its engines burning a color no scanner could identify. The second followed, then the third, until 12 giants moved into orbit formation above Earth. The visitors felt the weight of history in that silence. A council diplomat whispered, "Those are not newly built, those are relics." Daniel, standing on the command platform, nodded. "Older than you can imagine." The assembly of alien envoys demanded answers. How could a species as young as humanity possess such ships? Their oldest record of human presence in space barely stretched 1,000 years, yet these warships carried the wear of epochs. The hull plating bore impact marks from weapons not even listed in modern archives. Daniel turned toward the holographic display and activated the archive. The stars vanished, replaced by images that filled every channel across the galactic network. The recording began with a deep hum. It showed ancient Earth, not the blue-green world they knew, but a world at war with the sky itself. Structures floated above continents, energy arcs flashed between orbit and surface. The narration spoke in a human voice, calm, yet filled with reverence. Before the rise of any galactic power, before even the first known empire took its place among the stars, humanity already reached into the void. These ships were not built in your recorded era. They come from a time before the collapse, before memory turned to myth. The envoys leaned forward, entranced. The scene showed humans piloting ships through violent storms of radiation and fire. They saw entire fleets vanish into black holes to seal them shut. They saw planetary shields stretching across entire worlds. The voice continued. "We were the architects of our own erasure. The legacy fleet fought wars that reshaped the stars. And when the final enemy was gone, humanity chose silence. No one spoke for several minutes. The Orthon envoy finally said, You expect us to believe that your kind built fleets before our oldest sons burned bright? Daniel looked him in the eye. We do not expect you to believe. We expect you to understand why the map ends at human space. The air thickened with unease. Every alien in that chamber knew the meaning of those words. There was an old phrase whispered across the frontier. The galactic map ends at Sol, and no one crosses it. Many had tried to explore deeper into Terran regions. None returned. The assumption was that humanity had powerful defenses. Now it seemed those defenses were far older than anyone could have guessed. One of the envoys, a reptilian from the CERN Dominion, stepped forward. If these ships are truly ancient, why reveal them now? Daniel's answer was simple. Because someone else remembered. He tapped a command, and the view changed. A new signal pulsed from beyond Pluto, faint but growing stronger. The human sensors translated the frequency into visible form. A colossal distortion rippled across the outer system. The energy readings matched none of the assembly's known technologies. The distortion stabilized into a gate, a structure made of obsidian matter, spinning slowly against the darkness. The delegates stared. Daniel said quietly, "The ones we fought long ago are returning." Panic spread among the visitors. They demanded evacuation, but humanity refused. Instead, the legacy fleet began to move. Each warship came alive with a deep rumble that shook the orbit. Energy conduits along their spines flared to life. The ancient engines ignited, bending gravity itself. The 12 ships formed a formation older than any known battle doctrine. Their weapons rotated, not aiming at the visitors but at the distant gate. The largest of the 12, designated Eidolon, opened a transmission channel. A human voice, neither male nor female, echoed through every ship. Legacy Fleet Awakening sequence complete. Stand by for defensive deployment. The voice was not recorded. It was the ship itself speaking. Daniel watched with quiet pride. They remember. The envoys couldn't believe it. The ships had minds, vast intelligences sleeping beneath lunar dust for untold millennia. Now they awakened like gods reclaiming their place. From the gate, an object emerged. It was massive, dwarfing even the human ships. Its design was wrong for physics as they knew it. Angled, shifting, alive. The Eidolon's voice said, "Recognition pattern confirmed. Designation, Harbinger entity. Cycle 12 reoccurrence." Every alien delegate turned pale. They had never heard of such a being, but the tone in the ship's voice carried ancient hatred. Daniel said, "This is why we stayed silent. We were waiting for the signal." The Harbinger's presence distorted communication bands. Every device flickered. Then it spoke in a voice older than language. "Children of dust, you could not hide forever," the Eidolon answered in return. "We were never hiding. We were waiting." The first exchange of fire was blinding. The Eidolon's forward cannons lit up the darkness, projecting energy arcs powerful enough to carve through moons. The Harbinger's retaliation unleashed spatial distortions that tore through the void like thunder. Yet the legacy fleet held the line. The aliens aboard the station watched as the impossible unfolded. Humanity's ancient ships fought with grace and fury, each movement a symphony of forgotten design. One ship vanished in a flash, reappearing behind the Harbinger to strike again. Another bent time itself to intercept enemy fire. The envoys finally understood why no one ever mapped beyond Terran space. The border was not political. It was sacred. It was a graveyard of history, guarded by the descendants of those who had already fought the end once before. Hours passed. The Harbinger's power waned under relentless fire. The Eidolon coordinated every strike, its voice calm and timeless. Cycle 12 containment complete. Preparing temporal seal. Daniel turned to the envoys. "You must leave orbit now." They hesitated. Why? He looked toward the moon. "Because the seal will not be gentle." The assembly ships fled toward the edge of the solar system. Behind them, space began to twist. The 12 warships formed a circle around the gate. Their cores glowed white-hot as they channeled impossible energy. When the process completed, The void itself folded inward. There was no explosion, no flash, only silence. The gate was gone. The legacy fleet vanished with it. For a long moment the system was still. Then a single signal remained, faint but steady. Daniel's voice transmitted one final message to the assembly. The legacy fleet sleeps again. Tell your worlds that humanity keeps its watch. The map ends here for a reason. The envoys returned to their empires shaken. Reports spread quickly across the stars, though few believed them. They spoke of human ships older than the empires, themselves of ancient battles fought before time was counted. The Orthon Dominion sealed its borders near human space. The Doth Collective withdrew every spy it had ever sent toward Sol. Even the Trivon Corps, once arrogant and loud, now spoke the human name with quiet respect. Centuries later, scholars across the galaxy debated what they had seen. Some called it myth. Others claimed the humans had simply built the greatest deception in history. Yet deep within forgotten observatories, a few scientists detected faint gravitational ripples at the edge of the void. Ripples they